Okay, we're going to start a session here for T-28, configuring emails on a mobile device. And for those that wish to follow along on the textbook, it's pages 674 through 687. So our main objectives is going to be to name the possible protocols that can be used to access email accounts and describe the steps to setting these up within these mobile devices. Each proprietary phone has its own way. Obviously, all of the ones that we mentioned yesterday in reference to Android will be all done themselves this exact same way. And the same thing for all of the iPhones, the settings are the same. And lastly is the Nokia. Anybody remember what's their operating system on their phone?
The modern
You mean the old or the modern ones?
Modern ones?
Modern ones, I think it's Windows.
That is correct. Correct. They are the only ones who have jumped aboard the Windows phone. Windows has been pretty much left by themselves. The only ones that have that right now is Nokia. It's either Android or iPhone. Pretty much the majority of them out there, right? Any questions? You need to also be able to identify the major personal email systems, as I stated, and identify the common pitfalls when configuring and establishing email accounts on a mobile device, including any security concerns that we may have. Can anybody shout out what are the common email types that are out there or that you can configure on out there? The majority of them that are out there.
You mean the actual communication for
Gmail,
protocol?
Yahoo.
Okay. Yeah, Gmail, Yahoo. What else?
Some people still use Hotmail.
Hotmail is now transferred to one thing, and what is that?
Oh, is it all Gmail now?
Outlook.com.
Oh.
Anybody that has Hotmail needs to go and needs to log into Outlook.com or to Outlook. It's now become Outlook. So Hotmail's gone. Yahoo's still around. We have also who you guys haven't mentioned him. Come on, man. What is it? Dr.
AOL, the fossil.
The fossil is Yahoo. Yeah, AOL is now become Yahoo. Yahoo ate them up. There's actually two more, and they may feel very, very insulted since you haven't said their names.
Let me guess, iCloud. Which is
hey, yeah, bro, there you go. Apple's is the iCloud, and the last one, which is used by a lot of corporate America, Exchange servers. Not sure if you ever heard of a Microsoft Exchange server.
I thought that was Outlook. They're different?
An Exchange server is completely different than Outlook. Outlook.com is an Outlook email is equivalent to Hotmail.com versus I can have a Exchange email of being Diego Colon at cableandwireless.com.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought they were the same. I don't know why.
No, because one's on the cloud and the other one is. Sorry, that was my back. One's on the cloud and one is in a private intranet.
Private. So
usually the
basically
accounts are on your businesses.
So Exchange is more business side, but it's still the software is still made for Microsoft, right?
Yeah, it's a Microsoft Exchange server, correct.
Okay. Maybe that's where I got it confused.
Nowadays, there's a lot of companies, though, that are migrating their platforms, just like you can with Google, right? Or your Gmail, you could have an at whatever you want, and it's housed, excuse me, and it's housed in Gmail. I can give you an example of, for instance, Pace, Spartans, Miami-Dade schools. You can actually go to Gmail, log on with your Miami-Dade school account, as if you were a regular, and it will bring you in. It will bring you into your email because it's actually housed inside Gmail. Can anybody tell me what type of service is Gmail giving that school out of all cloud services? There's 3 of them, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Can you
What
repeat
cloud
it?
service is Gmail providing for Miami-Dade schools or any other school or business when they allow you to have your at so-and-so domain, not Google or gmail.com. It will be at payspartans.com, at miami-dade-schools.net. It will be exactly like if it was in a regular server, but it's in the cloud. Is it
Are they
IaaS? Is it PaaS? Or is it SaaS?
sorry, I'm
Software as a
lost.
service?
That's correct. It is software as a service. They can't play with it, but they can use it, right? It's completely off base. There's no way you can go and change the coding for Gmail. You can't change the coding for Google Sheets or any of that features that they're going to give you. The only thing they're giving you is your own domain to be able to be housed on the cloud on their side. Questions or doubts on the variances of different services that are, or email account types that are available? Continue here. Who can help me out on the actual email protocols? If so, on the first slide here, slide 4.
The main protocols used for email and mobile devices are the same as desktop. POP3 is a client-server protocol which email is received from an email server. Periodically, the client email receiver checks the mailbox on the server and downloads any email. POP3 is designed to delete mail on the server as soon as the user has downloaded. It uses port 110. Imap 4 provides the user more capabilities for retaining email on the server and for organizing it in folders on the server. Also, it allows simultaneous access synchronization by multiple clients. Imap can be thought of as a remote file server. It uses port 143. SMTP is a protocol for transferring email across the internet. You send email with SMTP and a mail handler receives it on the recipient's behalf. It uses port 25. Configuring an email requires a POP3 or a IMAP4 server to handle incoming email to the user and an SMTP server to handle the outgoing email.
Thank you. So this is exactly like any computer, any desktop or tower that we have, right? We set up our POP3, as we stated. POP3 is where you actually hit send and receive, or you set it up to hit download information at a given time. As the key word there, it will download the whole email, including any attachments. Everything is downloaded and deleted from the actual server. Versus an IMAP4, it basically just brings out a text, mainly only text of the actual email, and it syncs with the actual server up there. The moment that you want to download whatever attachments is associated with this email and you click, you'll notice on your iPhone or on your actual Droid where it starts downloading to your phone the actual document or whatever attachments are associated with the email. Any questions on that? That would be the receiving, the 110 and 143, where I love you is IMAP 4, and the 110 is POP3. Everybody know 143 means I love you in text? So if I map you, I really love you. So 143, that's one way I remember exactly what's the port for IMAP. No? All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn the old. That was beeper text. See, 1 is I, 4 is 4 letters for love, and 3 is you, Y-O-U.
I haven't heard 143 since like 2007.
Yeah, there's plenty of numbers out there. I'm not gonna tell you the other numbers because then we get in trouble with those. We'll just stick with I love you for now.
I'm still confused on like the difference between POP3 and IMAP.
Okay, So POP3 is the old antiquated way of downloading information, and it eats up bandwidth. Let's say I send out an email to all of you right now. We're all inside the same company. So I send out one email to 30 people, right? What happens in POP is the moment that all of you start downloading it, it will download the email, the attachments, everything, the way it looks, everything that has to do with that email comes down onto your computer, and it gets onto your PST, which would, if you're using Outlook as your actual thing. So now it's on your computer. The moment it finishes syncing, it says to the server, I got it, delete it. I have it, go ahead and delete it. I don't need to download this again. Because if I hit sync again, if I hit to send and receive again, it'll wind up downloading it twice. So it's not gonna, you don't want that. So the moment it finishes and it's assured that it has that specific email, it tells him to delete it on the server. It's gone on the server, and now it's only on this computer. So if I go and I want to see it on my phone, it's gone. It's no longer there. Versus the Imap 4 was a solution so that you can actually sync through various devices simultaneously. All it comes down is really a text file containing the information that's on the email, the header, the subject, even the actual email itself, what's in the content, comes more or less down to the device. The moment that you click on it, you'll notice that there is a small little lag to even bring you the email itself. Have you noticed that? If you have an iPhone, usually it takes like maybe a fraction of a second or two to actually bring the email. And that's because it's syncing. It's saying, hey, I have the name of the header, I have the timestamp and everything, but now she wants to see the email. So quickly, it brings you again the text information into the front. Doesn't take too long to just bring text. It syncs it to your phone, and it shows that there is an attachment. But if you click on the attachment's not there. It has a picture of the attachment, but it's not on your phone. The moment you touch it, it goes again, and it tells the server, hey, look, she's on this email. I need now the file. The file gets downloaded, is brought. It's always up there. It never gets deleted from the server. Everything is always on that server itself. And that's why a lot of these servers have a time of how much it needs to actually store, because of the fact that you're going to run out of space on these servers. So a lot of them, depending on the actual laws, in some countries you require 7 years of history, or 5 years, or just 1 year, depending on the actual document itself. So then they code it on the server so that when they archive it, there's actually an archive server, separate server just for archiving, and it'll keep it for those years. And they'll delete it after a year of information. It just starts deleting it from there, moving it to the archive server based on any rules of the amount of time that it needs to be on. But an Imap server is always syncing with the unit. It's never really in the unit 100%. That hopefully clarify the variance between POP and Imap.
Yeah, you can't really tell which one you have, right? Like, if you're using a certain,
When you
like if
configure
you're using,
if when you configure it, yeah. One big clue is if you're using iOS cloud, if you're using Google Cloud, all those clouds use Imap. There's a lot of servers now that are not using POP3 pretty much. There's a lot of people that are not using POP3, but that would be mostly in the Exchange servers out there. Are you still using, that I'm aware of, some of them are still using POP3. They'll tell you though, for instance, whatever company you're gonna go work for, there's always a configuration sheet to tell you if it's an Imap server or if it's a POP server, how to configure it. And if it's Exchange, it's completely different.
So these are like physical servers?
No, these are protocols to connect to the servers. I call it a POP server because it's using POP. I call it an Imap. They're both email servers.
Oh, okay.
The protocol is what it's using. Either POP3 or Imap 4. And to send is always SMTP, pretty much. We learned also that these are the clear text ports. Does anybody remember what are the actual encrypted ports?
I already forgot them. I know SMTP somewhere in the 500 range,
That's correct, if I recall.
somewhere, but I can't remember much.
Mhm.
567 and 68, I think, is for simple milk transfer protocol.
Yeah, all of them use SSL or TLS, right? So
Yeah,
we got to make sure we learn those ports again, guys, because they're gonna be testing you on ports. Make sure you guys know these are the easy ones, which is the 110, 143, 25, at least for me. The other ones, which are up on the 500s up there, we should look into those and know what it is. And obviously, they're using either SSL or TLS. Any questions or doubts on these protocols that they're showing us here? So you have, as we said, in the POP3, it's 110, right? And it's 995 for the encrypted ports, either TLS or, right? I think and for Imap, it uses what? So I would strongly recommend looking those up, guys, after class. If you don't know them, here you are. 993 is the Imap. POP SSL TLS is 95. 465 for SMTP SSL, and then the 587 for the TLS. All right. Those are a must. These protocols, we got to know which ones they are because they're going to be testing us. And they're not going to flat out ask us. They'll probably just give us a scenario and say that you're doing this, this, and this. And what port are you using? So most email servers obviously now are using SSL, TLS. We're not sending out in the clear. Everyone remember what clear text means? If I send anything
password
in,
is in the text.
I'm sorry?
The password is in clear text.
Well, it could be anything in clear text. Clear text means that if you send out the email on port 25 and I'm listening, I can see your whole email. I can read your email. Anything that goes across any unencrypted port can be easily with a Wireshark or any other analyzer that there is for sniffing the network, and then use that to basically recompile everything that's in there, including your username and password. So they obviously created these ports here, as we stated a moment ago. POP SSL TLS uses a TCP port 995, while Imap SSL TLS uses 993. SMTP is the only one that comes in two different flavors. That's the SSL uses a port 465 and TLS uses 587. All of them are on TCP, which creates a full handshake and assurance that it is secure. Any questions or doubts?
I have a question about secure multi-purpose internet mail extension. What is that?
S-MIME?
For? Yeah, S-MIME.
S-MIME is a protocol used by Android and iOS. It's to encrypt and decrypt the actual emails.
Do they have port numbers?
S-MIME itself?
Yeah.
That's a good question. S-MIME,
Or is that a layer 2 protocol?
S-MIME. Let me look that up. That is a good question. S-MIME. It is a protocol. I know that much. But what port? Unfortunately, I don't know what port. Anybody know what port is S-MIME?
Maybe it's not a port. Maybe it's just an extension. So it uses one of the other ones. I guess it's like
It
a different
uses
layer.
TLS and SSL. I don't see a port here. We'll look into that. I'm pretty sure it's using one of these ports here for TLS or SSL, but I'll look into it now. Well, if anything, on our break. Microsoft Exchange. Who can help me out with this slide here?
Microsoft Exchange overview. Microsoft provides a special type of email server called Exchange server, an Exchange server. This is used mainly in large businesses so that the employees can access their emails, calendars, contacts, and instant messages from a variety of locations. Exchange Activesync is a Microsoft protocol used to synchronize Microsoft Exchange emails, contacts, and calendars across a range of mobile OS platforms. It has the capability to set up and configure network connectivity and secure email options, like setting passwords and remotely wipe or log a mobile device. The setup of Exchange is not different from others, but does require more information. Exchange server address, username, and password for account, domain name for account.
Thank you. Any questions on the actual Microsoft Exchange? As for SMIME, it is a protocol and it is using actually all of them. That's what they're talking about here. It's just a certificate from what I'm understanding on what it does. SMIME, it uses cryptography security services for the actual email messages. It's a layer of encrypting and ensuring and providing actual separate keys to the certificate so that if somebody actually intercepts the email itself, they require the certificate. You guys remember certificates, public key certificate, private key certificates? That's basically what it's using to be able to create this and to be able to read it.
What layer in the iOS would that be? Oh,
What
yeah.
layer in the iOS?
Sorry, I said it wrong. Sorry, I'm not feeling very good. I can't
OSI.
remember.
OSI.
Yeah,
OSI.
What layer in the OSI level? So let's think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Where would it be exactly if it's encrypting the email and creating certificates? Where do certificates for PKIs get made?
That sounds like maybe somewhere in the session level. And that's where you establish the connection usually, right? So somewhere above that, before that, is where you would have probably the message. That would be presentation.
It's a port number, isn't it? And it has a certificate, so I'm not sure if it would be in a presentation. Anybody have any clues there? Is it a presentation? Well, you got an OSI, yeah, because that's 6 layer. I'm here thinking TCP IP, sorry. There's only 5 layers. So then, yeah, thinking about it, in the OSI, which would be, yes. I would have to say yes. In the TCP IP, it's on the, yeah, same thing, 5th layer.
Yeah, I think it is presentation because it says here data representation and encryption.
Yeah, it's right in the OSI level, because I get the two of them confused. One has 7 layers, the other one has 5 flavors, right? So the OSI layer, yes, it would be in the 6th layer of it, while I believe in the TCP IP layer, it's in the 5th layer, I think.
Sorry for such a complicated question.
No, not a problem. We need to understand exactly where it is. Any other questions or doubts? Juan, Halloween bomb? No, nobody. Everybody feel nice, warm, and cozy. Okay, next slide, Christina.
Microsoft Exchange. Microsoft Exchange overview.
No, no.
Microsoft.
Did it just do the same thing twice? My fault. I went backwards. We're on slide 70. Slide 7. My fault.
Email and mobile devices. Every modern mobile device comes with an email service set up specifically from the mobile OS developer as a starter. They offer email services for creating or integrating accounts. The email integration process is known as Integrated Commercial Provider Email Configuration.
So we have the Apple iOS, we have Android, we have Windows Phone. Any questions? Doubts? Here are common email providers. As we stated before, you'll see this in most of your actual mobile devices. When you go and configure it, ask you Microsoft Exchange, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, AOL, and others. I don't think it can ask you AOL anymore, right? Any questions or doubts on the integrated email configurations within these devices? Here on this slide, on slide 9, we have our common email apps. As we see again, there's the usual ones that are out there. You got your Google apps, you have Outlook, and you have Yahoo with his little plethora of Flickr and different things there for you to play with.
And Yahoo is no, AOL is part of Yahoo right now as well.
Yahoo was eaten up by AOL. I mean, sorry, AOL was eaten by Yahoo, yeah. They bought
Are
them
they
out.
using the same, like, did they merge or is it like separate? Like, you still have an AOL account that is just managed by Yahoo, or they just merge completely?
I can't tell you what their marriage is about. I know that AOL was bought out by Yahoo. As for where they stand and exactly how they are, if they're separate, I really don't know. Anybody know if AOL even exists still as?
Don't know.
In Brazil, people still use AOL. My mom has an AOL email account.
Mm-hmm. I know that I think it's not sure what parts are what, but some of it is with Verizon. I'm not sure how or where, but I'm pretty sure you can still probably find AOL somewhere in the world. That's the reason why they keep on mentioning it here.
Okay, so
I
I guess it just means they're owned by Yahoo and they have their own like thing going on.
They might have something still going on, or who knows? But I know that I'm aware of AOL was bought out by Yahoo. At least the site itself no longer. I can't go to AOL.com and see that little forum as before where you chat and all that stuff. I don't think that exists. I got to AOL.com, but this does not look like AOL. If anybody remembers AOL, this looks nothing like it. Looks like you can log
It's a lot
on.
like Yahoo.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does look like Yahoo.
Yeah, you see? Well, they might have left the domain and everything out there, but I'm not sure in their history and what's going on with them. I know that at one point they were bought out by Yahoo. I believe it was Yahoo or Verizon has their holdings right now. Any questions though on the common apps themselves that you will use? Slide 10. Now, for those that are in the corporate America and require a FQDN, which is the fully qualified domain name for POP servers, IMAP servers, whatever it is, you would actually have to manually go in there and set the FQDN and or the IP, whatever they're giving you with the port numbers and the security type, if any. So you would most likely hit other or exchange or whatever it is that you're going to and set it up based on the configurations that they tell you in corporate America. At the same time, there is some of them that require a completely separate application to be installed, and then that application brings the equivalent to Outlook or whatever it is, email, to allow you to connect to your email. Any questions or doubts? Next slide. We see here is a setup for Apple devices. Basically, you just go into settings, passwords and accounts, then you add an account. That's for the other. See it there? Basically, you go and set up all the stuff. It's pretty easy. The GUI, you hit next and or enter all the information that they're asking for. Remember, they will give you this information. If you don't have the information of the business, then obviously you're not going to be able to get into their internal email server. Any questions or doubts? Pretty sure most of you have configured an iPhone device. It has advanced features as we see here. You can use SSL. You can put the SMTP. You can put your actual email password, all that information with ease. They prompts you to add the information as necessary. Next slide, which is slide 13. Android is pretty much the same as the one we saw. Only variances is obviously touching the screen itself on different one here where you go into settings and then scroll down to personal selection, left side, tap accounts, add account if you haven't done that before. Most of you have, and basically select if you want for Imap or what it is and how you want to configure it. Same thing, obviously, for Windows Phone. On slide 14, you have the features that go into adding accounts depending on the POP3 Imap settings and tap to sign in. Pitfalls overall on slide 15 of configuring these devices. Users tend to forget their username and password. Believe it or not, a lot of them wind up changing their password and then don't know where to go and change it into these devices. So causes a problem every 30 days where they can't go and get into their emails. So you have to go in there and help them out and show them. Number 2, which is to know the provider settings. To configure the email manual, you make sure you know exactly what the provider and or corporate settings are. If you don't, then obviously you're gonna have to look them up and or call some buddy within your company that has that information. Error messages, if an email is set up that has been working well for a while and suddenly gives you errors not connecting or not downloading, is most likely the incoming or outgoing server is down or a DNS server has quit working, or even worse, maybe you are connected to the Wi-Fi and maybe your Wi-Fi is down, so that's the problem. We need to make sure what is the problem before we go in and just assume that the unit is the problem itself. Next slide, last slide here. We have the questions for today. Question 1. You are enabling email on a mobile client. Which of the following is not a standard email integrated commercial provider for email? Christina.
D, as in Delta.
Exchange server is not a standard email. Okay. Everybody agree with D?
I agree.
Okay. Everyone okay with that? D, exchange? Okay. So if I go here and I go to iCloud, I should be able to find iCloud, right? I go here, iCloud. Yes, I can log on to iCloud. Okay, so you're telling me that if I go here also and I go to Hotmail, I can go straight into Hotmail. I can go to Hotmail? don't see any Hotmail. You see Hotmail login?
Oh.
I don't see a Let's go to Yahoo. I see a Yahoo login. Exchange. Online. Seems to be here. I can go to Exchange Online. Therefore, if we recall in the beginning of this conversation, Hotmail no longer exists. We need to go to Outlook.com. Outlook is the service that's available. No longer is AOL existing. It's Yahoo Mail for AOL, and for Hotmail, we stated that now it is Outlook. Outlook.com is who we use to configure. Not a standard application anymore. All right, so question number two.
I think that's A.
So which email protocol commonly uses TCP port 587? Everyone agree it's SMTP with SSL?
I answered differently.
All right. Remember, guys, I said that it's usually alphabetical, so the port is going to go with the actual. It's going to go in the actual order, just like it is in the actual. What do you call this? So if the number is lower, and the letter is S and T, the lower number goes to the S, and the higher number will go to the T. So 587, if I remember correctly, is a higher number because 4 something was the lower number. Give you that much of a clue. Because we know that Imap and POPs are in those 900s, right? So which one would 587 be? Would it be SSL or TLS?
TLS.
TLS, correct. So we got to get those orders in place where when we're looking at SMTP, it has 2 ports, 2 different ports. So the 4 something would be coinciding with the letter S because it's alphabetically is before T. And then the 587, which is the letter T, TLS, is corresponding to the SMP with TLS. It's the only way I remember it. Usually it coincides like that. When you have any guessing, just look at the letter of the actual name of the protocol. That helps out.
Thank you.
Any questions or doubts on number 2? Number 3, which standard is used to encrypt and decrypt email messages on a mobile device?
I know this one.
Pretty sure you got to remember this one.
This one has to be D since it's using that specific protocol to encrypt it. So it has to be SMIME.
It may ride on SSL, it may ride on TLS, but it is using SMIME to encrypt and decrypt and provide those certificates. That is correct. Number 4, brave soul. Who wants to take a dive? What information do you need to connect an Android-based tablet to an Imap account?
I answered B. Username and password.
Okay. Everyone agree? B, if I want to manually set up an Imap account, all I need is my username and password.
I would think you need a little bit more information, right?
I would Maybe, yeah, because I'm manually setting it, right? So it's not a Gmail, it's not an Outlook.com. So which one will give them a little bit more? Out of all the choices that we have, the first one is a POP3 server DNS name. B, we said was just username and password. C has username, password, my sending, and my receiving server address. And D is an exchange server name, username, and password. What would I need for Imap accounts? Just like a regular computer. What would I do with an Imap on a regular computer? Well,
It would be C.
Is it C?
C as in Carlos. Yes, you want to make sure you have, as I stated, they're going to provide you, corporate America and whatever company you're working for, if they have an IMAP server that you're going to be connecting to, they have to provide you the sending and receiver server address or FQDN, if that's available. And obviously the user must provide you the username and password so that you can set it up on their device. Without these four things, there's no way that I can connect manually to an IMAP server. Email server that has IMAP. What I mean by that. Obviously, there's no such thing as an IMAP server. I just a server address. So the same thing, if I wanted to do a POP3 account, I would require the username, the password, the sending POP3 account, and the receiving SMTP server account. Address, sorry, not account. Any questions or doubts? And question number 5. Justin.
Number 5, you are configuring a mobile client to use email through an ISP. Which port number should you configure to use SMTP? That would be A, port 25.
Everyone agree?
I agree.
And why not port 995?
Because that's the secure port for POP3.
Thank you. Good answer. It's exactly what I was expecting. Yeah, 995 has nothing to do with SMTP. As we stated a minute ago, it's either 400 and something and 587, right? If it's TLS, it's 587, and if it's the SSL, it'll be that 400 number. Any questions or doubts on the exiting ticket there for this session before we wrap it up? All right.